Link TV, connecting you to the world. Link TV is viewer supported. Watch more at linktv.org.
Link TV presents Mosaic World News from the Middle East. Here are today's top stories.
Iraq struck by series of bombings. The UN says 800,000 people are cut off by Pakistan floods. And personal dispute leads to armed clash in Lebanon. Mosaic World News from the Middle East begins now.
At least 50 Iraqis were killed and more than 180 others were wounded in a series of bombings in Baghdad, Kut, Ramadi, Kirkuk, Karbala, and Basra.
Among them was a suicide car bomb attack that was launched on a police station in Baghdad, killing 15 people. A similar attack was also launched in Kut, killing 26 people.
Violent acts struck various parts of Iraq, similar in pattern to previous attacks, but different in terms of their timing and targets. The bombings were launched in 6 provinces, distributed on all levels, generally targeting police command centers. Dozens of people, including police officers and civilians, were killed or wounded in the attacks. The bombings come shortly after similar attacks targeting traffic police officers and judges that were launched in the country. The nature of the attacks, in terms of their coordination and timing, is raising questions about the capability of the Iraqi security forces to maintain control in the country. In the past, Iraqi forces relied on U.S. support while carrying out combat operations.
واليوم وجدت تلك القوات نفسها منفردة في خط المواجهة بعد توقف العمل.
Today, Iraqi forces found themselves alone on the front lines after the U.S. announced the end of its combat operations and a troop reduction in the country. A U.S. official said that his country's forces fell below 50,000 ahead of the planned withdrawal at the end of this month. The U.S. Military Command Center hinted that it may redeploy its forces in Iraq if the security situation spirals out of control and the political constituents fail to form a national unity government. Iraqis and Americans alike believe that the formation of a national government is overdue, which is helping fuel the security situation in the country. Negotiations and meetings between winning political blocs in Iraq are about to enter their 7th month, without a glimpse of hope to break the deadlock impeding the formation of the next government. A series of thorny and complicated issues continue to overshadow the negotiations among the various political blocs. The head of the Iraqi coalition, Iyad Alawi, said that the U.S. wants to see an Iraqi official close to Iran appointed to the post of prime minister. This has stirred more doubt about the position and nature of the Iranian-American relations towards the Iraqi plight.
Joining us from Baghdad is Abdullah Badran, a journalist.
Do you have the exact death toll of these bloody attacks?
Iraqis woke up this morning to the sounds of the bloody bombings that struck Baghdad. The first of these bombings started with a booby-trapped car that targeted a police station in the Cairo neighborhood, north of Baghdad. It was followed by another car bomb attack in the Aden Square north of Baghdad, near Kark. In addition, several police stations in the provinces of Basra and Karbala, including the Police Coordination Center, were hit by car bombings. A string of booby-trapped cars were detonated in the areas of Kirkuk and Ramadi. A car bomb attack was launched in the province of Tikrit. In addition, a booby-trapped car targeting the commander of ground forces in Saladin exploded.
Fighting resumed this morning between Somali government forces and al-Shabaab fighters in the Somali capital, Mogadishu. This news comes one day after fierce clashes erupted in the capital, killing more than 70 Somalis.
This building appears to be normal. However, it was part of the big fish that was briefly captured by the armed al-Shabaab fighters. The building is comprised of a hotel which serves as a home to many Somali parliamentarians and officials. The hotel was targeted by armed fighters of Al-Shabaab Mujahideen movement. The attackers, who were disguised in security uniforms, were able to enter the hotel. Once inside, they immediately opened fire on its occupants, killing 6 Somali members of parliament and 5 security officers. Somali security forces rushed to the scene and exchanged fire with the gunmen. While one of the attackers was captured by the security forces, the other 2 bombers blew themselves up. More than 31 people were killed, mostly civilians, including women and children. Most of the victims were employees at the hotel, which is located close to the residence of Somali President Sharif Sheikh Ahmad. The attack comes amidst the fragile political and security situation in the country, which is being run by a transitional government that only has partial control of Mogadishu. The massacre comes one day after several hundred troops from Uganda arrived in Somalia to offer support for the nearly 6,300 African Union peacekeeping troops deployed in the country. The main duty of the AU forces is to protect the airport and President Sharif Sheikh Ahmad. Al-Shabaab fighters, who are backed by Al-Qaeda, declared war on what they referred to as invading foreign forces. On Monday, Al-Shabaab fighters clashed with the government forces around the Somali capital, killing more than 30 civilians and expanding their control in the capital.
In Lebanon, calm was restored on the streets of the capital, Beirut, following armed clashes between Hezbollah supporters and the Ahbash sect west of Beirut. The national news agency said that at least 4 people were killed in the clashes, among them a local Hezbollah official. The Lebanese army has opened an investigation into the incident.
This is the Lebanese capital, Beirut, which witnessed the death and injury of several people in armed clashes between Hezbollah elements and others from the Association of Islamic Charitable Projects, known as Al-Akbash.
This shouldn't have happened. I think that we've been living together for a long time in this neighborhood, 30 or 40 years. This shouldn't have happened. There was some negligence.
Military sources confirmed that a personal conversation between a Hezbollah member and another from Al-Akbash developed into a collective clash that led to human losses on both sides.
We would like the government to enforce its authority in all of Lebanon. What else can I say? Clashes between Muslims is wrong in the month of Ramadan.
Immediately after the clashes, the leaderships of both sides called for an urgent meeting. They issued a joint statement to confirm that the incident was personal and doesn't indicate political or sectarian disputes. For its part, the Lebanese army deployed some of its soldiers to the region. In addition, the army leadership decided to open an urgent investigation into the incident in order to find out the reasons and details behind the clashes, in which the 2 sides used machine guns and rocket-propelled grenades. The exchange of gunfire lasted several hours. The Association of Islamic Charitable Projects was established in Lebanon in 1983. It gained power in 1992 when it managed to win a seat in parliament. At the time, parliamentary elections were widely boycotted. However, 4 years later, it lost the seat. Ihab El-Alfi, BBC.
We stay in Lebanon, where Hezbollah Secretary General Hassan Nasrallah confirmed that the party provided evidence, not proof, in connection to the assassination of former Prime Minister Tawfiq Hariri. He indicated that it opens up new prospects for the investigation. During an iftar of the Women's Islamic Resistance Support Organization, Nasrallah said that he was not concerned with the International Tribunal. He confirmed his readiness to cooperate with the Lebanese judiciary.
I'm being asked to provide the information I have about the International Tribunal and the international investigation. However, the course of events indicate that this is not a confession, and I am neither concerned with the International Tribunal nor the international investigation. God willing, my reasons and evidence will be unveiled at the right time.
For his part, Lebanese Prime Minister Saad al-Hariri said during an iftar in Beirut that nothing will prevent the International Tribunal from moving forward. The tribunal is investigating the assassination of former Lebanese Prime Minister Rafi al-Hariri. The Lebanese Prime Minister asked all Lebanese sides to maintain a calm atmosphere during this difficult phase currently experienced in Lebanon.
For many weeks now, we have been calling on everyone to maintain the calm. We need to stop covering up the truth. However, sadly, some insist on obstructing the opportunities provided for calm, dialogue, and objectivity.
New pleas for help were issued by the UN to counter the deteriorating situation in Pakistan. The UN Under Secretary General for Humanitarian Affairs, John Holmes, said that they need 40 more helicopters to reach the 800,000 people who are cut off by the floods that are still threatening to displace millions in the Sindh region. Meanwhile, signs of desperation started to appear in the flood-stricken regions, raising concerns of possible social unrest there. Ghassan Aid reports.
It is a struggle for survival, sending chilling messages of panic and concern among Pakistani officials and UN relief agencies. The UN issued a warning of looming social unrest in Pakistan's flood-devastated regions, where millions of residents are left without food and shelter. The dire humanitarian situation could lead to security instability in the flood-devastated regions, which may further complicate relief efforts there. The UN is warning that violence could break out in the flood-stricken regions, as water and food supplies cannot be easily delivered. Fighting over food and water will have deadly consequences, as many of the flood victims are weak and powerless.
As floods swept through our village, everyone fled. My father took my 2 children and fled. I found a carriage, which I used as shelter from the water, but the floods swept my father and my 2 children away.
This woman's story is shared by many of the displaced here at this refugee camp. While many in this camp have access to food and water, hundreds of thousands of other Pakistanis have been cut off by floodwaters and are only reachable by air, as confirmed by the UN. The UN asked for 40 more helicopters to facilitate life-saving aid to the increasingly desperate people, saying that these unprecedented floods require unprecedented measures. These were scenes of the Pakistan tragedy that resulted from the worst disaster to hit the country. However, it seems that the worst is not over yet, as floods continue to threaten millions of other residents in the Sindh region in southern Pakistan, warning of a new struggle for survival.
Minister of Defense Ehud Barak today discussed the resumption of peace talks between Israel and the Palestinians with Quartet Middle East envoy Tony Blair. Barak said that both sides will be required to make what he called brave decisions during the direct negotiations, and Blair expressed his own hopes that the Palestinian Authority will find the internal power to move ahead with the talks. In related news, it was announced that Palestinian demands for a settlement freeze in the West Bank will be discussed at the start of the direct talks in Washington on September 2nd. That's the word from State Department spokesman Philip Crowley, who also told reporters that the settlement issue is not a precondition for the direct talks. Palestinian leaders are threatening to walk away from the upcoming talks if Israel does not extend the settlement construction moratorium on September 26th. This, in turn, has led Israeli officials to question if the Palestinians are looking for excuses to pull out of the talks even before they have begun.
First of all, we look forward to the first meeting next week with Prime Minister Netanyahu, President Abbas, and Secretary Clinton here on September 2nd, as well as the individual meetings and dinner that President Obama will host at the White House on September 1st. We look forward to getting into the direct negotiation, and then we believe that once that negotiation starts, it'll be incumbent upon both the Israelis and Palestinians to avoid steps that can complicate that negotiation. Settlements are an important issue, and we expect to address settlements as well as the other crucial final status issues within the context of the negotiation. We are very mindful of the moratorium and the fact that it comes up for reconsideration during September. We're very mindful of this. We're very mindful of the importance the issue is within the negotiation. That's why we want to get in the negotiation. None of these issues can be resolved outside of this negotiation.
According to a study by the India-based Strategic Foresight Group, the Middle East is at the forefront of the world's most armed regions, and that the cost of the conflict in the region has exceeded $10 trillion. More details with my colleague Norma Al-Hajj.
أظهر هذا التقرير أن الشرق الأوسط هو المنطقة الأكثر تسلحاً في العالم بجميع المقاييس.
This report revealed that the Middle East is the most armed region in the world based on all measures, such as the percentage of the gross domestic product spent on defense, human losses, and the number of youth associated with the security sector. According to the report, the Middle East spends the most on the military, for which it allocated 6% of its gross domestic product in 2005. In addition to the military costs, the conflict has also had economic, social, and political costs. Economically, the invoice of the conflict in the Middle East reached $12 trillion between 1991 and 2010.
بلغت $12 تريليون بين عامي 91 و2010. اجتماعيا.
Socially, the report unveiled that the conflict has had an extreme effect on Palestinians, as the death toll has exceeded 4,000 people since the Intifada began in 2000. In addition, the number of those living in extreme poverty increased in 2006 and now account for over 1 million people.
في عام 2006 لأكثر من مليون شخص وخلص التقرير إلى أن الصراع.
The study concluded by reporting that the conflict in the Middle East has cost the world's economy much more than is visible, especially since the so-called war on terror resulted in additional costs for security measures, in addition to its repercussions, which led to the increase of oil prices, among other consequences.
Eye infections caused by viruses and bacteria pervade throughout Lebanon's poor and polluted areas. The two neighborhoods of Sullum and Khadda al-Ami are two samples where more than 1,000 people are infected. Our colleague Hussein Khres visited the two neighborhoods and brought us the following report.
The state's misfortune and negligence, along with the power shortages, lack of water, and increased pollution, have made out of the air a medium for the transmission of eye bacteria. This is an old virus that is once again active due to the rising temperature. It has created an epidemic in poor, overpopulated regions, which has led to the infection of entire families. The symptoms start in one eye and then spread to the other. They include redness, swelling, and a sensation of a strange organism in the eye.
I have seen many cases which can be classified into two types, the spread of the virus and the spread of the bacteria. The latter's symptoms are a little different and are more prominent than the spread of the virus. In both cases, antiviral drugs are required. However, in the case of the bacteria, antiviral drugs are more effective. The virus does not have any treatments. The inflammation requires time, and it varies from person to person. It could take anywhere between 3 to 4 days, up to 10 days. Treatments differ, and complications could occur in some cases. After a while, we notice the inflammation of the cornea, which could last months. In this case, the patient will have some problems with their eyesight. I would like to remind you that the inflammation is transferred through touch.
Khandak El Gamik and Sulam neighborhoods are two samples, and the list of environmental problems in both of them is long. Let's hope that some officials understand the dangerous situation and feel inclined to tackle it.
Look at our eyes. It's been 5 days. The entire neighborhood is this way. We want the Minister of Health to come and tell us what's going on. That's all.
We got this virus from the dirt, the lack of electricity and water. There's nothing here.
The Gandour company is here. It struck a deal with the organizations of the neighborhood. It has a labor union. The company throws its trash and bacteria all over the neighborhood.
The biggest part of the treatment is prevention. First of all, following some sanitation measures can prevent the spread of the disease.
Sanitation, then, is the basis, according to Dr. Kobaisi. Let's look for it here, in a river that still hasn't gained notoriety among tourists, Al Gadir River. A new germ broke through the atmosphere of a country hit with the virus of clean air deprivation to become an epidemic that does not dare reach the children of the officials in the country of law and institutions. From one of the neighborhoods situated in Beirut's no man's land, Hussein Krais, New TV.
In Iraq's northern region of Kurdistan, concerns have yet again been raised over the government's dealings with foreign contractors over the region's vast oil resources.
In Iraq, a topic of conversation never very far from people's lips is oil. Iraq is now estimated to have an amount of oil reserves second only to Saudi Arabia. Most of it is concentrated in the far southern and northern parts of the country. The relatively booming economy of the northern Kurdistan region is based in no small part on the strength of its oil. However, for some time now, critics of the ruling two-party coalition have been alleging that a large amount of the profits is being siphoned off into private pockets.
The problem is that the Ministry of Oil doesn't sign contracts directly with foreign oil companies. The contracts are signed by local companies which are owned and controlled by officials from the ruling parties.
In off-camera interviews with members of the Special Parliamentary Committee on Natural Resources, even they claim not to have any access to the details of any contract.
No one has any specific information on the oil contracts that have been signed by the Ministry of Oil, not even members of parliament. What concerns me is that the ministry can increase its exports 1 million barrels every year, and we will never know or see the benefits of this.
Nevertheless, representatives from the government aligned with the ruling party coalition staunchly defend the practices of the Ministry of Oil and Natural Resources.
The Kurdistan regional government has complete jurisdiction in the production of oil. All the contracts are clear and not vague. Everyone can understand them, and they contain no illegalities.
According to official budgeting figures, the Kurdish regional government has an annual budget of over $9 billion for a population of approximately 4 million people. By way of comparison, the government of Jordan's budget is over $2 billion less for a population of 2 million people more. As long as the Kurdistan region has such issues as incredibly unreliable electricity and a national infrastructure that seems to be progressing at a snail's pace, questions will continue to be asked about just where all the oil revenue is going. Matt Fraser, Press TV, Arabiya.
The divorce rate in Dhikar province is significantly rising. Ali Al-Atabi reports on this matter.
Reports released by courts in the Dhikar province indicate that divorce cases account for 70% of all court cases. This phenomenon comes after the province witnessed some changes, such as the rise of the unemployment rate on one hand and the general improvement of living standards on the other, in addition to the decline of traditions and customs.
عن العادات والتقاليد السائدة. أسباب من ضمنها أهم سبب هو الزواج المبكر للزوجين. One of the most important reasons is the early marriage of both spouses. Another reason is the lack of social equality. There is no parity between the husband and wife. Another factor is the age difference between the spouses.
فرق العمر، فرق السن بيناتهم. In the past, marriage was imposed because you had to marry your cousin, or you had to reach a certain age. So we say that the reasons for divorce are based on social norms.
Social studies experts hold the country responsible for the rise of its divorce rate, which is due to the lack of clear laws that limit or prevent such a situation from occurring.
The state must play a role in this field. We need a law that would end early marriage for girls, because at the end, the marriage will be terminated. From a total of 25 or 29 marriages, perhaps 5 of them will last, and the rest will file for divorce.
The cases in Dakar indicate that the chance of reconciliation between the husband and wife in a divorce case is almost zero, especially if the divorce is legally valid.
The court is obligated to accept the appeals, especially for divorces filed outside of the court's jurisdiction. The court is obligated to approve these divorces if they prove to be real and conform to all the legal conditions.
I call on religious authorities not to interfere in divorce cases. In our court, there are more divorce approvals than anything else, and they are valid. When the divorce takes place, no religious authority, courts must approve the divorce if it is valid.
The views expressed on Mosaic are from contributing broadcasters, not Link TV or its sponsors. The production of Mosaic is made possible from support of viewers like you. Thank you. Watch Mosaic World News online. Stay up to date with breaking news. Read our blog. Get transcripts of past shows and more at linktv.org/mosaic.
This program is brought to you by Link TV for educational and non-commercial use only. Link TV is the only U.S. network dedicated to global and national news, uncompromising documentaries, and diverse cultural programs, programs which connect you to the world.